Crystal Paine was in a tough situation. She was pregnant and knew that it would be difficult to raise a family on her husband's part-time salary. So Crystal studied as hard as she could, and the money-saving mom was born.
Crystal Paine is known as the money-saving mom to nearly 2 million readers on her blog. For more than a decade, she's been teaching others to live on a budget. But she says it's not just about saving money. In her new book, Money-Making Mom, Crystal shares how she increased her family income and offers ideas for every woman who wants to improve her bottom line.
Crystal Paine is here with us now, and we welcome her back to the 700 Club. Great to have you with us.
Thanks so much for having me on.
Let's go back to when you were first married, Crystal. I mean, your husband was going to law school, working part-time. What did you do?
Yeah, so we were trying to live on this beans and rice budget and trying to stay out of debt, and it was hard. Yes. And just really realized that we had to maximize the mileage of our money. And so that's really where this whole clipping coupons and teaching other women then through my blog to cut their grocery bill as well came from.
But you kind of came by this naturally because you had been raised by parents who had shown you how to struggle to the good.
Yes, I'm so grateful. My parents, I was homeschooled, and so part of my home ec was for 2 years in our family of 9 to do all of the couponing, the grocery shopping, the menu planning, and talk about real life hands-on experience.
Yes. But also talk about realizing that it works. I mean, you saw it in action.
Yes, and I told my husband, I was like, we can keep our grocery budget low. I know we can. I've done this.
Will you define for us your perspective of financial freedom, what it is and what it is not?
Yeah, so many people think that financial freedom is, have a great house, have a nice car, and have all these things. And it's not that that's wrong necessarily, but for me, financial freedom is the peace that comes from knowing that our money is in order and we have room in our budget that we can give to other people.
Mm-hmm. And you talk about that a lot in your book, living simply so that others can simply live. That's really become a mandate for you and your husband.
Yeah, that's really our heartbeat, and that's really the reason why we do everything that we do, because we realize that by saving money and managing our money well, we can give generously and make a difference.
So where do most of us go wrong?
I think it's the priorities in the first place, not having good priorities and not having a plan.
Yeah.
Because you have to have a plan. You can't just say, I want to save money. You have to actually set goals, break those down into bite-sized pieces, and then walk that out.
You have done something else unusual. I mean, your blog, first of all, I don't think you expected that to happen when you started to blog.
No, I thought it was going to be this little side thing that I was going to do.
But it's turned into a big business. And I mean, I'm saying big. It is big because you're running it as a family. And so that takes a lot of time and effort. But you have decided to remove your email from your phone. I mean, how do you do that as a business owner?
Yes, and so I have a team of about 17 people who work for me all across the country, and it's a very large, almost like mommy enterprise, but removing email from my phone, I realized that every morning when I got up, I would check email first thing, and every night before I went to bed, I would check email.
It's pretty addicting, isn't it?
Yes, and I just thought, I can't live like this anymore, so I just took it off, and I've survived.
We get to make choices. We're grown-ups. I'm sure there are women who are looking at us and listening to you right now who are saying, okay, so that's what Crystal did, but how do I find the thing that's right for me?
I think it's really knowing, what are you passionate about? What makes you come alive? Ask your friends and family and just really tap into what is a need and how can I fill it?
Yeah. Are we sometimes unaware of what our own gifts and abilities and talents might be?
All the time. I know I was. 10 years ago, I thought, I don't have anything to offer to the world.
But when you were a kid, you loved to write.
I did, and I loved computers. And honestly, writing this book and uncovering for me, I was like, oh my goodness, I loved computers and I loved writing. Yeah. Look at what I'm doing now.
I think one of the big challenges for anybody today, whether they're doing something part-time or doing something full-time, is to find balance in their lives. You mentioned taking the email off your phone, and that certainly helped you in that area, but you have been masterfully aware along the way of not letting this override your commitment to your family or even to yourself and to God?
Yeah, and I think it's that having those priorities and setting boundaries. We have to be in control of our time, and so set those boundaries for our time and walk that out.
Tell me about how all of this has grown, because now your husband, I mean, he was running his own law firm and has now left his business to join you in this endeavor. How did God grow this, and where do you see it going?
You know, it's how he can do exceeding abundantly above all we can ever ask or think. And I just feel like I offered up my little loaves and fishes, and God took them and multiplied them in amazing ways.
For people who haven't followed you, talk about your blog, what you do, and what your purpose in all of that is.
Yes, so my blog is moneysavingmom.com, and really my heart for that is to help women who are busy, they want to save money, but they just don't know where to start. And so it's a one-stop shop for them.
You talk a lot also about marketing your product, marketing what you do. How did you know how to do that? I mean, you started just sharing your heart on some of this, and you've really had to become a little bit of a jack of all trades as you've watched this grow.
Yes, and I think it's just really experimenting and trying and not giving up, because it's not everything's going to work, but you keep trying. And with the internet nowadays, there's so much possibility.
Young moms today, I know so many who would love to stay home with their children, but they can't lose the income that they're bringing to the family. Where do you suggest they start as they explore their options for the kind of thing you've done?
Yeah, I think it's really looking at your schedule and saying, do I have an hour or two every week that I could block off on my calendar, make an appointment with myself, and commit to using that hour or two to really dig into what am I good at, and how can I set goals, and how can I make just a little bit of bite-sized progress?
And really dig into is a key factor there. You persevered for a long time before you saw anything really happen.
Yes, it was about 2.5 years of really pouring myself out before, you know, those little tiny trickles of progress turned into little streams that then turned into a river that now have turned into this rushing torrent.
And despise not the day of small beginnings. When it was
right.
all simple.
Don't give up.
Well, Crystal Paine has more great tips in her book, Money Making Mom. I highly suggest it to all of you. It's available nationwide. And don't forget, you can also follow Crystal on her blog. See what it is she's doing and what God has done with her offering. You can get a link on cbn.com, and want to send you off to look at what she's doing. Thank you, Crystal. Quite amazing. What a wonderful story.
Thank you so much.
Terrific to have you here.